Grow your calves with only 2 exercises. If you're tired of having toothpick calves that disappear in your socks, stick around. We're about to fix that with just 2 exercises. Yes, only 2. Imagine finally filling out your pant legs, turning those calves into full-grown cows. I know it sounds like clickbait, but science and my own struggle back it up. I went from chicken legs, the kind that make you keep your sweatpants on, to actually getting compliments on my calves, all by simplifying my routine to 2 powerhouse moves. So, stop blaming bad genetics or doing 10 different fluffy exercises. Instead, let's milk these 2 exercises for all they're worth and build some diamond-shaped calves. Your calves aren't just one muscle. They're mainly made of 2, the gastrocnemius, the big upper part you see, and the soleus, a deeper, flatter muscle underneath. The key difference? The gastroc crosses both the knee and ankle, while the soleus only crosses the ankle. That's why knee position changes everything. When your leg is straight, like in a standing calf raise, both muscles work, but the gastrocnemius takes the spotlight. When your knee is bent like in a seated calf raise, the gastroc is basically turned off, leaving the soleus to do all the work. So, do you need both? Absolutely. Standing raises build visible calf mass, especially the gastroc, while seated raises target the often ignored soleus. Research backs this up. One study showed standing calf raises grew the gastroc by up to 12%, while seated raises barely moved the needle, but both helped grow the soleus. Calves are stubborn, full of slow twitch fibers built to resist fatigue. That's why smart, specific training is essential. The 2 moves you're about to learn are all you need to hit both muscles hard and grow your calves like never before. Standing calf raises are the bread and butter calf builder. This is any calf raise done with your legs straight. You can do them on a dedicated standing calf raise machine, with a barbell on your shoulders, holding dumbbells in your hands, or even a leg press machine by pushing with your toes. All these are variations of the same theme: straight-legged plantar flexion going up on your toes against resistance. Here's why standing raises rock and how to get the most out of them. Standing raises hit the gastroc and soleus equally, according to research, which means you're targeting both muscles in one go. Efficiency win. You'll really feel that burn in the meaty upper calf, especially as you go heavy. Use a step or block under the balls of your feet so your heels can drop down for a full stretch at the bottom. Full range of motion is key. Dip your heels as low as flexibility allows, then explode up onto your tiptoes as high as possible. Control the negative. Don't just drop down. That deep stretch under load is a potent stimulus for growth. Training at longer muscle lengths tends to promote more hypertrophy. I like to hold the top contraction for a brief moment and squeeze the calves, then slowly lower down. Form-wise, no bouncing, no half-repping, just the top portion. Use a controlled 2-second up, 2-second down rhythm for quality reps. Your Achilles and joints will thank you. The standing calf raise machine, common in gyms, is fantastic. It pads your shoulders and lets you pile on weights safely without worrying about balance. If you don't have that, a Smith machine works similarly. Place a block under your feet, position the bar on your shoulders, and rep out. Barbell or dumbbell calf raises, standing on a step, are okay for lighter weights or high reps, but grip and balance can limit you. Single leg calf raises, holding a dumbbell in one hand, using the other hand for balance support, are a killer variant too. Doing one leg at a time doubles the load on that calf and can help even out any left-right strength differences. In fact, EMG studies show single-leg standing calf raises activate calves very strongly, ranking among the top movements. And if you're hardcore and maybe a little old school, try a donkey calf raise. This is where you bend over with a weight or an enthusiastic partner on your lower backs and hips and do calf raises. Arnold Schwarzenegger swore by these, and EMG tests put them at the top for calf activation. Donkey raises essentially mimic a standing raise, but with your torso horizontal. Many people feel an even better stretch this way. Plus, there's zero spinal compression. The weight is on your hips. The downside is they're a bit awkward to set up, unless you have a specific machine or a very trusting friend. Which variant is the best? In my experience, any straight leg calf raise done with heavy weight and full range will do the job. So the best is the one you can perform safely and progressively overload. That said, I personally favor the machine or Smith machine calf raises for heavy sets, so I'm not worrying about balancing a heavy barbell. I'll then often do a burnout set of single leg raises with just body weight or a light dumbbell to absolutely fry the muscle. If you have access, the donkey calf raise is amazing for that stretch. It's not magic compared to a standing calf raise, but it feels great and can slightly change the angle of emphasis. Some say it hits the soleus and gastroc together at a fully stretched position better. Choose the variant that lets you get a deep stretch and strong contraction with heavy resistance. Consistency and effort matter more than the minor differences between these variants. Because the gastroc has a good amount of fast twitch fibers, it responds well to heavy weight. Don't be shy to go lowish rep, 6 to 8 reps with a challenging weight on standing raises, but only if you can maintain a full range. I like to mix it up. Some workouts I go heavy, 6 to 8 reps. Other times, moderate, 10 to 15, and occasionally high reps, 20 plus to really chase that burn. Research and anecdotal evidence suggest calves can grow with a wide range of reps, anywhere from 8 up to 30, as long as you're hitting close to failure. Higher reps will set your calves on fire. That lactic acid burn is real. But remember to still push them hard. If you're doing 25 reps, that 25th rep should be a struggle, not stopping just because you hit a number. I learned the hard way that the mind-muscle connection is huge on calves. Early on, I would load up a bar and kind of bob up and down using momentum, and my calves didn't grow at all. Only when I swallowed my ego, reduced the weight a bit, and really focused on that full stretch and squeeze did I start seeing progress. Now, the standing calf raise is my staple. It's painful in a good way when you do it right. Sometimes I'm literally gritting my teeth by the last reps, but the payoff is those visible gains. Stick with it and you'll notice your strength shooting up and your calves getting meatier. Now let's talk seated calf raises, the second and final exercise you need for complete calf development. This move looks a bit like some medieval torture device. You sit down with your knees bent about 90 degrees, a pad or weights on top of your knees, and you raise your heels up and down. It isolates the lower portion of your calf, the soleus, because, as we covered, a bent knee means your gastroc isn't doing much. Here's the lowdown on seated raises. Soleus, soleus, soleus. A seated raise is all about the soleus muscle. Don't worry, the soleus may be less visible since it lies beneath the gastroc, but growing it will push your calves out wider and make the whole lower leg thicker. Plus, a well-trained soleus helps the lower calf look more filled in, rather than having a big upper calf and a skinny lower leg. Fun fact, even though seated raises don't hit the gastroc much, your soleus gets worked just as effectively as it does in a standing raise. So you're not missing out on soleus gains by doing seated, you're specifically focusing on them. If you have a seated calf raise machine, awesome, that's the easiest way. If not, you can improvise by sitting on a bench and resting a barbell or heavy dumbbells on your knees, and put a pad or towel under the bar for comfort. The mechanics: balls of your feet on a block or step, heels hanging off. From the bottom deep stretch with heels dropped, drive through the balls of your feet to point your toes down, lifting your heels as high as possible. Again, full range of motion. Get that deep stretch at the bottom. With seated raises, that stretch can feel intense in the Achilles area and soleus. I actually love to pause for 2 to 3 seconds at the bottom stretch on some reps. Really letting it pull this can improve ankle mobility too. Come up and squeeze the calf at the top, then repeat. Keep your rep tempo controlled. No bouncing off the bottom, common mistake. If anything, pause at the bottom to eliminate the stretch reflex, then explode up. The classic machine version is ideal. If you're DIYing it, a sturdy plank or step under your feet and a barbell on your thighs works. Just be careful balancing and consider using a partner to help get the weight in place. There are also leg press machine hacks. You can do a bent knee calf press on a 45-degree leg press by setting your feet low on the sled and keeping a slight knee bend throughout the motion, which keeps emphasis on the soleus. It's a bit tricky to isolate, but it's an option if your gym lacks a seated raise machine. Single-leg seated raises can be done by holding a dumbbell on one knee at a time. Useful if you're rehabbing an imbalance or really want to focus, though they can be time-consuming doing one leg at a time. Regardless of the variant, the main challenge with seated raises is usually loading enough weight on our soleus is strong. Machines have leverage to add plates. With free weights, you might find you outgrow what you can balance on your knees. In that case, one trick is to do high reps or even 1.5 reps. Do a full rep, then a half rep pulse at the bottom, repeatedly. It's brutal. Which variant is the best? The standard seated calf machine wins for convenience and heavy progressive overload. If I have it available, I'll always use it. It's just easier to go heavy and focus on effort rather than juggling dumbbells. However, in a pinch, I've done heavy barbell on knees seated raises for years. Pro tip: use a squat pad or wrapped towel on the bar to save your thighs. That works too. Your calves don't care if the weight is from a fancy machine or a sandbag on your lap, as long as you challenge them. One advantage of the seated raise machine, or not, is that you can do intensity techniques more safely than with standing. For example, drop sets quickly strip off some weight when you hit failure and keep going. Or rest-pause sets. Rest 10 seconds, then squeeze out more reps. Because you're seated and stable, there's less risk of form breakdown causing injury, so you can really push the limit. I sometimes finish my last set of seated raises by doing partial reps from the bottom when I can't do full reps anymore, to totally exhaust the muscle. The soleus is mostly slow twitch, so it can handle and often needs high reps to fatigue. You'll feel a deep burn with sets of 15 to 20 or even 25 plus. That said, don't neglect moderately heavy sets of about 10 to 15 reps here too. Mixing rep ranges is wise. I found a lot of benefit in doing at least one high rep burnout set on seated raises, something like 20 to 30 reps, where the last 5 reps are agony. This seems to really exhaust that slow twitch muscle fiber pool. Another tip: try a stretch hold finisher. On your last rep, sink into the bottom stretch and hold it for 10 to 20 seconds with weight on to really lengthen and fatigue the muscle. It doubles as an ankle mobility booster. Speaking of which, here's a bonus. Strong and flexible soleus muscles from seated raises can actually help your squat depth and ankle mobility. A tight soleus can limit how far your knee travels over your toe in a squat, but training it through a full stretch, as in seated raises, can improve that specific flexibility. So you're not just building muscle, you're also greasing the groove for better squats. I used to skip seated calf raises entirely, thinking standing raises were enough. Big mistake. When I finally incorporated seated raises regularly, I noticed a more complete look to my calves. The lower portion got thicker, and my overall calf endurance went up. Plus, my ankles felt more stable. From my experience, the seated calf raise is one of those exercises that gives back exactly what you put in. It's easy to half-ass it because it can burn a lot, that deep burn where you just want to quit. But if you fight through that, you'll be rewarded. Sometimes I'll be doing a high rep set and my face is stuck in a silent scream. But then I remind myself, this is what it takes to grow the muscle that carries me around all day. Push through that burn and thank yourself later. You might ask, are standing and seated calf raises really all I need? The short answer, yes. These two movements cover the main calf muscles. Standing raises hit the gastrocnemius, the visible upper calf, and still work the soleus, while seated raises isolate the soleus more deeply. Other variations like leg press, calf raise, or donkey raises, they're great alternatives or add-ons, but they essentially do the same thing as standing calf raises, just from a slightly different angle. Want variety or less strain on your back? Feel free to swap them in. One-leg raises are also excellent for balance and intensity, but take more time. Plyometric moves like jumps and sprints can help athleticism, but they're not enough alone for serious size. As for gadgets or tibialis raises, those are fine for variety or lower leg balance, but they won't beat the fundamentals. For actual growth, nothing beats loading up standing and seated calf raises consistently with progressive overload. If you want bigger calves, hit both angles, train them 2 to 3 times a week, and give them real resistance. Simple, effective, time-tested. I'll be real, my calves used to be a joke. I'd tack on a few rushed sets at the end of leg day, barely think about them, and then complain that they weren't growing. Sound familiar? The game changer came when I simplified everything to just 2 exercises, trained them with intent, and tracked my progress like I would for any major muscle group. Every session, I aimed to do a little more, an extra rep, a bit more weight, or a slower tempo. And I felt it. That deep burning soreness, that's when I knew it was working. A few months later, I needed jeans with more room in the calves. The difference? Consistency, focus, and actually giving calves the attention they deserve. If you want to achieve a Greek god physique naturally, make sure you watch this video where I rank the best and worst exercises for muscle building.